discussion between Iran, Israel and the United States of America. So here when it comes, all these three countries are very much important when it comes to crude oil or LPG gas, which is very, very important for each and every country for their day-to-day lives. Say for example, India. Every day we keep cooking per day we have 3 meals. So obviously we have to cook, we need gas for boiling, everything. It's a day-to-day necessity. So here when it comes shortage here, what will the crisis be? How will be people affected here? What are the things that we have to take in hand so that we can survive until and unless we get the resources back? These are the things which we have to look on. So here when it comes, when all these countries have a war, it's mandatory for us to look on to one stuff, which is crude oil as well as LPG gas. 90% or to 95% India is exporting only, which is not produced in India. Rather, it's exported from the other countries. So when transportation does not take place, when they are in some war, we cannot go interrupt them or ask the countries for import or export. So obviously it's not possible. So now in India or in Tamil Nadu, what do we see to? So the present news tell us that Chennai, Bangalore, Pakistan, all these places, schools have been shut down and most of the restaurants, cafes have been shut down due to the shortage of all these LPG cylinders and crude oil, all these prices. So in Tamil Nadu, the latest news tells about 20 to 25 days we still have quantity for day-to-day uses. So here we have all the brief explanation for it.
The current issue in India because of the ongoing war is increasing fuel prices. India imports 85 to 90% of crude oil from other countries. As the war is processing, the crude oil supply is disrupted. So the increase in petrol, diesel and everything is increased. This will result in inflation. Inflation means if the transportation is disrupted, the further things like foods and other also increases. So the economy suggests that if the war will sustain, inflation will increase and India will sustain in lower economic growth rate.
So let us see what are the alternative use of LPG. So before comes to the war planes, the major thing is like more deficient is LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. Like moreover, like the cooking stuff as well as the fuel, which has like more demand, will has like less shortage. At these time, you can use some kind of alternative use, like you can use like heaters as well as like for heaters and air fryers, inductions. All these kind of cooking stuff will help to reduce the demand of the LPG gas, and it's also a best alternative. The other side, when it comes to traveling, you can use, rather than using your own bike, you can go on with the public roads like public buses and use some kind of train transportation, so that you can avoid the LPG use, as well as the demand will also decrease on the alternative line. And as a benefited side, as well as the pollution will reduce. And when it comes to these times, it is a crucial time where the metropolitan city has been shut down by the LPGs, and moreover the demand has been increased. So we can use some alternative stuff which will reduce moreover the demand of LPG. And if this war continues, the economies has been said, the more developing countries will come to increase the demand of LPG, all these stuff. So at the other side, rather than increasing the demand of LPG, we can use some alternative stuff so that we can start to move on with the daily lifestyle. Rather than being dependent on LPG, we can go on to use air fryers, which is also good for health, rather than using LPG, and as well as we can use some biogas. If we use these methods, we can reduce the demand of LPG.
Okay, so let's now look up into the conclusions. By the end of February 2026, the global tension starts to arise. So on 28 February 2026, there were 3 important countries that goes with Israel, United States of America and Iran, where they started to create so much of global tensions, where on the 28th February night, USA and Israel, they started to strike Iran, focusing on its military establishment, consulates and several other rigs which have been operated by the international nationals in their territorial waters. So on that particular night, what happened? It started to affect Iran's major areas, major capitals, covering the central points and many other areas. As a result of the next morning, it outdid and the destructed, disappointed, and led to a very great destruction where the lot of many capital centers which served as the key point starts to shut down. So it is where one of the important strait that was called as the Strait of Hormuz was completely disrupted. So this was the particular route where all the different countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq and several other countries start to transport oil, export, import, crude oils, fuels, petroleum, diesel, everything through this strait, that is Strait of Hormuz. During this particular global tension, when Israel and USA started to strike Iran, what happened? The capital, the supreme leader, was completely killed. He was killed during the war, and because of which, when a country's leader is totally killed, the people will suffer more, and that is where we had the oil expansion. So oil trade started to affect our oil production, fuel production, trade, and lot of these things. And Delhi schools were also shut down, Pakistan schools were shut down. So analyzing as a conclusion, we can derive that by analyzing all the different segments, what internationals, what the nationals has to do, we can arrive to a particular